I want to talk about another weird college football coach, which is probably the weirdest, Jim Harbaugh. In the
Mhm.
offseason, we saw Michigan lose in dramatic fashion in the
No, we
playoff,
didn't.
and then
Oh,
he interviewed for the Vikings job.
Mhm.
Well, I didn't. I was at a wedding actually,
listen,
and
I did
I
versus.
did make that a point in my maid of honor speech because the groom was a Michigan grad and he was very upset. He was missing the game. Anywho, Jim Harbaugh interviewed for the Vikings job and then decided to come back to Michigan. That point seems to have been forgotten in this long dramatic coaching carousel offseason. But now he's back at Michigan. Do you think that they'll have a chance at going back to the college football playoff? I know there's a quarterback controversy there. Like, what do we make of Michigan this year?
It's very difficult for me to see them going back just because they caught a certain. I think they're one of those teams that caught fire. I think they're one of those teams that really, especially defensively, they really found something that worked, and they've got to replace some parts on defense, right?
Which is not to chalk up their entire 2021 campaign to luck, but I mean, you guys know to go undefeated, so many things have to go right. Like it takes, even for the best teams, it takes so much luck. It takes so much correct bounces. It takes so much injury prevention, one and not just from a strength and conditioning perspective, but from a guy steps 6 inches to the right on a wet patch of grass, and Aiden Hutchinson's knee explodes out of nowhere, and your season's over. But it's hard to see. I would say this about any team. Like this is not about Michigan. It is so hard to see teams that are not that are not built like Bama and Ohio State repeating because they don't have. It's an infrastructure question. It's not really a coaching or a talent or a resources question. I mean, resources maybe, but you know it is. If it were easy or if it were even feasible most years for many of these teams to repeat, they would do it.
Yeah, it's going to be very
Like
hard.
I'm playing numbers. This is not about Michigan. Like this is not. I would say this about any team in Michigan's position.
Yeah, they do also have a big obvious potential problem down the road, which is that if the defense does not perform as they did last year, then there will be pressure on the quarterback. Because remember, this is a team sport. We don't have problems alone.
Mm-hmm.
One thing influences the other. Any quarterback controversy between McNamara and McCarthy will become very, very painful very, very quickly for them. It's something that has kind of been the norm there. It's very weird that Harbaugh hasn't really settled on a quarterback with great conviction, despite being an avowed quarterbacks dude.
Yeah, we have been in the position more than once over his tenure at Michigan to ask non-rhetorically, what are you teaching these guys? Because they're listen. I'm a Tennessee fan. I know from bad fifth-year quarterbacks. Okay, I know what it I know what it is to watch a guy run out for his fifth season and just say, okay, they've been teaching you what for the past 5 years, but for a vaunted quarterbacks whisperer like Harbaugh, it's that progress has been really hard to see sometimes, and that's I really hate being that person coming into the preseason going, well, it's a quarterback, but this is we had the same question about Mark Richt for a really long time,
Yeah.
and look what happened.
Listen, I mean, I've been when I had a show, an everyday show, I would bring this up more than a few times that Harbaugh's supposed to be this quarterback guy. They can't get a quarterback in there that they develop over time, and of course, Michigan rip on me because they're Notre Dame haters, but I'm just telling you the truth. I mean, it's not like Brian
You're the
Kelly was
ones who told
developing.
us this about, like they're the ones who told us this about Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Like we are not the ones who decided this about him. We are not the ones who called him this fantastic sculptor of quarterbacks. So where's the pie?
Also, there's an interesting comparison in that in that Mike, which is this: who managed to get better production out of quarterbacks consistently over their tenure, Kelly or Harbaugh? It's been Kelly.
Yep.
Kelly, I mean, in 1 year, and going back to Cincinnati, the Gino Guiduglia days, there was 1 year where I believe Kelly played three different quarterbacks, and there was very little drop off in quality between them, which points to one, a great system, and two, making it easy, like putting people in a position to succeed. That's what a coach is supposed to do. I don't know if Harbaugh. It's odd. Harbaugh has put almost everyone on that team in a position to be better than their predecessors, to increase the depth and improve the talent at every position. That includes quarterback. It's just they haven't been as successful as everybody else.
And this is the thing I keep hammering on in our show. He's paid. There are multiple people on that staff paid millions of dollars to do nothing but put these like 4 or 5 specific kids in a position to succeed. And it's very fair to ask why we haven't seen more results out of that.
Yeah, it is fair. And as far as Brian Kelly, the only problem then with Brian Kelly is he played musical chairs with his quarterbacks too much, so they'd be looking over their shoulders.
And he was mean to them.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, a coach being mean,
He's mean to everybody.
He is mean to everybody, and also neither coach has put an NFL in the or a quarterback in the NFL that has done anything in a while.
Well,
So
I think Ian Book had his first preseason touchdown last week, Mike.
Well, I mean,
oh my God, my bones are crumbling to dust. Oh
I don't know if I'm a 5-star quarterback if I'm going to either Brian Kelly or Harbaugh at this point because of the development challenges.